What's up, guys? We're going to look at day 3 of Advent of Code. This is on my school Chromebook at home, so it's not going to look beautiful. I already did part 1 because I want to make this short, but let me tell you what I did. We have elves, continuing with the theme, and the elves have rucksacks. The rucksacks are filled with items, which we don't know what the items are. We just know that they each have a letter code. So V might be granola bars, it might be gasoline, it could be anything. And it's okay to have the item twice in the same half. Like these strings are split into halves for compartments of a backpack. But it's not okay to have one item in a half and then the same item in the other half. So we're looking for those which are like the errors. You know, this has two F's in a row, that's fine, but it has a P, and then on the other side it has a lowercase p, and that's the problem. So we're going to find those, and then it's got a little scoring system for how they get turned into integers. So what I did for that, and this is not the most optimal way, but it's just a nice, simple brute force, is I said, okay, we need halves, so I made a function to do halves, and it's going to give the string up to the length over 2, and I put the double slash to make sure it's an integer, even though I'm pretty sure there's no worry here. They're all even number length, you know. And then string of the midpoint colon, which means going to the rest. Then we loop through. I said for sac in sacs, because I called it sacs, I guess. Left, right is the two halves. We like to give things names. And then we run that function. And then we go for each item in the left, if it's in the right, we score it. Now, the scoring is very silly. I'm sure there's a way to get the Unicode value of a character and then subtract a certain thing. But what I did was just, they tell you it's lowercase and then upper, so I just wrote out all the lowercase and then wrote out all the upper. I put an underscore at the beginning so that it's bumped over and they're 1, 2, 3 instead of 0, 1, 2. And then I said, find that thing in the priorities. That is a string method called find, which tells you the first time it appears, and if it doesn't find it, it gives you a -1. So that was great, and I had it almost, but I kept getting the wrong answer until I realized that they're not mutually exclusive. The thing that I was talking about earlier, when I said you can have 2 and 1/2, like an F appearing twice, or you could have the same thing appearing in both. Some of them have an item that's a couple times in the left, and that same item is in the right once. So I was counting some of them more than I should have. So what I did was I put set on here. So that means when you turn something into a set, it has each entry exactly once and no duplicates. Now, I realize I could have done that from the beginning and used some of the set methods, like you can ask it for the intersection of two sets and it'll give you something that appears in both. But it's fine. And I got this answer and I entered that for part 1 and it was correct. Okay. So now we're going to do part 2. Part 2 says, now we actually know what one of the items is. Before they were completely just abstract letters, but now one of them is a badge. The badge tells what group the elf is in, and they're in groups of 3. Luckily, they're already in order. So we have like our input file, which is a couple hundred lines. It has the first group is the first 3 elves, and then the next 3 lines, that's another group, and the next 3. So we don't have to like arrange them. They're already in order. But what we have to do is see like, okay, in these first 3, what's the thing that they all have? That's the badge. Okay. And then in the next 3, what's the thing that they all have? That's the badge. And we don't know what it is. For group 1, it might be B, but for group 2, it might be S or something. So let's do that. We're going to say, I want to keep my part 1 code in there, I guess. I'm just going to comment it out. I need a better organization for these, but I'm going to say we ignore that for now. And we're going to do something else for the part 2. Actually, I'm going to put my code up here just so it's easier to read. So we're going to probably do another for loop, but this time we're not going 1 at a time. We're going 3 at a time. And I want to say something like for I in range, what are we doing? We're going from 0 to the length of, what do we call it, sacs, maybe +1, so that we make sure we catch the last guy. And we're going in groups of 3. And I think what that means is I'm just doing print I to test. We're going to see like 0, 3, 6, all the way down. And that's going to be a way to, that's like the captain of each group, right? That's like the first one. And then it's going to be 0 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4 and 5, 6 and 7 and 8. Okay. So actually that's not right, because we don't want the last one. If we're doing the plus thing, we don't want to say like 300 +1 +2. We that guy's already taken care of. So I want to say this should be -2, I think. We'll figure it out. If there's an error, we know it's the last one, right? That's always the case, but it's especially the case here. So I want to say like, let's give these elves names. In the guy here, I said left and right. For this one, I'm just going to call him ABC, which is not very good. Usually you want to give them nicer names. We could call them like, I don't know, what are some elf names? They could have dwarf names like Snow White guys, but I don't know. So we're going to say sacs I +1 and sacs I +2. So that means like, okay, first, second, third, then the next time, fourth, fifth, sixth, then the next time, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Which means I'm going to print those just to test it, because you never know. I am always suspicious that I'm making typos, and I want to find them now rather than later. So I'm going to say like, this should be really ugly. Oh, we're not printing them in a nice way. I wanted to be in chunks of 3. Yeah, those are in chunks of 3, although the line wrap makes it look weird, but those are in chunks of 3, and that's what we wanted. Okay, so now we could probably do something more clever, but I'm just going to have a for loop, go through all the items in the first guy, and see if the other 2 guys have those things. Okay, so for item in A, no, set of A, because I think we could have an issue like we did on the other guy, on the other part 1, where it was like we're counting something twice. I don't think so, but who knows. If item in B and item in C, then that means the whole squad has this item, and they told us that it's guaranteed to be one thing. We don't have to worry about like, oh, well, they all have A and they all have Q and they all have capital X. It's guaranteed to be one thing that they all share. So if we found it, we're good. I'm going to print item to see if that makes sense. We should get 100 things, because each group, and there are 100 groups, each group should have one thing which is revealed to be their badge. And then in the next step, we'll find the priority of that thing. Okay. Obviously, I'm not counting 100, but that seems like a good amount. L, let's do a quick glance and see if L is in the first 3 guys. There's one. Is it? I can't even. Oh, yep. Okay. So that seems to be the case. So now instead of printing an item, we want to add it to our score. Oh my gosh, look how much indenting we have. That's always a bad sign. If you're indenting, if you're doing for, if, that's always like, come on, man. There must be something better. Priority of item, which is the same scoring system as the first part. That doesn't change. And then we print score. And then it should be less than the, yeah, so it should be a lot less because the first one was adding up something from every line. And this one is adding something from every group. So 2444, that's our answer for part 2. Thanks for watching. No, yeah, part 2 of day 3. Thanks for watching.